Welcome to this explainer. What happens when an 11-team online college football dynasty totally stops being about, well, calling plays and morphs into a full-blown digital civil war? We're looking at a league where the actual video game has literally taken a back seat to extreme political drama, bitter rivalries, and just rampant paranoia. Seriously, buckle up, because the second season of this dynasty, it's devolved into a wild saga of bizarre accidents, deep-seated suspicions, and unprecedented dysfunction. I mean, just listen to this quote. 6 weeks into the second season, the football has almost become secondary. That is a chilling realization for any competitive league, right? The first season basically established the hierarchy, but the second season, it has firmly established the drama. We are witnessing a landscape where coaches are actively questioning each other's commitment. The computer is literally deciding the fate of championship contenders, and honestly, one simple vacation has pushed the entire dynasty to the absolute brink.
Which brings us to part 1, the Boise State vacation.
So a simple trip rapidly escalates into a literal constitutional crisis. Picture this. During the preseason, the schedule is set. Boise State has massive season-defining matchups against App State and Marshall. But then, in week 1, realizing he's going to be out of town, Coach Nick demands a schedule change from Commissioner Coach Ratliff. And notice that word, he didn't ask, he demanded. Well, Ratliff refused, so week 2 arrives, and Coach Nick just leaves for Hawaii anyway. Bye! By weeks 3 and 4, the league is staring down a massive dilemma. Rather than deciding unilaterally, Ratliff puts it to a league-wide vote, and the coaches, they voted to just let the computer simulate both the App State and Marshall games.
And here is the sheer infuriating irony of the whole situation. Boise State wins. Yep, the computer simulated the game against App State, and Boise State won. Then they simulated the game against Marshall, and again, Boise State won. The rest of the league is absolutely furious. Coach Nick essentially abandoned his team. His demands were totally denied, and he still ended up winning the 2 biggest games of his season completely on autopilot.
0. That is the exact number of games Coach Nick has actively coached during this stretch. 0! All while remaining completely undefeated. He is literally lounging on a beach somewhere in Hawaii with his feet up, enjoying the greatest vacation in dynasty history. Meanwhile, Commissioner Ratliff and the rest of the coaches are left dealing with a bitter rivalry that Nick isn't even physically present for.
Okay, let's move on to part 2, missing flights and fried chicken.
Now, while Boise State's situation is steeped in this calculated drama and animosity, what's happening over at the Rice program is pure accidental comedy. Let's look at Coach Roof. If you thought the Boise State simulations were wild, check out this timeline of disaster. First, Coach Roof is scheduled for a huge game against Coach Pinson in North Texas. But instead of showing up, Coach Roof literally gets on the wrong flight. No joke. So, because of his absence, the game is simulated, and Rice wins anyway. But here is where the real tragedy hits for Coach Pinson. Because of the simulation, North Texas not only loses the game, but the computer decides one of their star players gets injured, and every single big-time recruit who visited campus that weekend decides not to commit. Coach Pinson's entire season is derailed. He is completely in the doghouse with his athletic director, and Coach Roof just walks away victorious purely by accident.
But wait, it actually gets stranger. Just as the league is reeling from Ruff's supernatural luck, another bizarre revelation drops. Turns out Coach Ruff apparently makes secret recipe cooking videos on YouTube. Specifically, he makes Ruff's fried chicken. So suddenly, Rice has developed these 2 totally distinct identities. On the field, they're one of the most dangerous offenses in the dynasty. Off the field, they are a rapidly expanding fried chicken empire that has whipped the city of Houston into an absolute frenzy.
And naturally, the dynasty has completely run away with the joke. When Coach Roof missed his flight, avoided total disaster, and somehow beat North Texas, the entire league reached one obvious conclusion. The chicken coached the game. I mean, it makes sense, right? Every time Rice scores, it's the chicken. Every time they land a 5-star recruit, it's the chicken. Roof's fried chicken is currently undefeated against the computer.
Which leads us right into part 3, the season of the sim. Underneath all the jokes and the fried chicken memes, there is a very real, overarching crisis infecting this 11-team dynasty. We're looking at the spread of what they're calling a sim disease. Just look at this growing list of coaches heavily relying on simulations or having their games simulated. You've got Coach Nick at Boise State on vacation. You've got Coach Roof missing flights. You have Coach Amanze repeatedly encountering issues actually completing his games. And Coach Lorenzo dealing with the exact same completion issues. It's this mounting dread that is just taking over the league, one auto-generated box score at a time. Which leads directly to this incredibly uncomfortable question spreading through all the group chats. Are all of these simulations actually legitimate? Now, nobody is making formal accusations just yet, but the paranoia is suffocating. Are some coaches seeing they're about to lose a game and then forcing a simulation to dodge the loss? Are they intentionally stalling their schedules just to give Coach Nick enough time to fly back from Hawaii? Are they manufacturing favorable outcomes? And I want to remind everyone exactly why this matters so much. Competitive integrity. It's the core belief that in an 11-player league, every single win, loss, and recruiting battle is earned fairly on the digital field. One simulated result can absolutely destroy a playoff run. One simulated week can alter a program's entire trajectory for years to come. When the games aren't being played by humans, the whole foundation of the dynasty really starts to crack. Let's look at part 4, Coach AJ's hot seat. While some coaches are avoiding reality through simulations, others are facing very real professional fallout. Let's shift our focus to the desperate situation happening at Hawaii and the impending doom surrounding Coach AJ. See, Coach AJ has one of the worst records in the entire league, and his firing feels imminent. The other coaches are openly questioning him. Recently, Coach Pinson made a joke that Coach AJ was probably just spending his time hanging out with Coach Nick in Hawaii rather than actually coaching his football team. But then, Coach Nick dropped a devastating bombshell. He revealed that the Hawaii athletic director had actually contacted him for an interview behind AJ's back. And to make matters infinitely worse, Coach Nick turned the job down, publicly stating that taking over Hawaii would be a downgrade. Ouch. So think about this. If the Hawaii administration fires Coach AJ at the end of the season, and Coach Nick, the guy already vacationing there, doesn't even want the job, who actually wants Hawaii? We're not talking about a program looking for a stabilizing force here. This is a completely unstable disaster that needs a ground-up rebuild. Honestly, it might determine the next massive coaching storyline in the dynasty.
Let's wrap things up with part 5, the Midseason Awards.
To truly encapsulate the pure absurdity of the past 6 weeks, let's just run through the official Midseason Awards. If this were the Oscars, it would be a total comedy of errors. For most controversial coach, the winner is obviously Coach Nick, a man who managed to create a bitter rivalry without even being in the same time zone. Worst travel mistake goes to Coach Roof for taking the wrong flight but somehow getting the exact right result. Dynasty Food of the Year is undoubtedly Roof's fried chicken. The most used button across the entire dynasty right now, that would be Simulate Game. And finally, the award for most suspicious season goes to the entire league because, frankly, nobody knows what is real anymore. If you take away anything from this explainer, let it be this. The games are no longer the only thing being decided on the field. The first season showed us who could actually play the video game, but the second season, it's entirely about who can handle the brutal, unforgiving politics of running an online dynasty. It's about surviving the resentment, the accusations, and the sheer unpredictability of your opponent's off-field decisions. So I leave you with this final thought as we look toward the rest of the season. With Coach Nick still sipping drinks on a beach, Boise State remaining perfectly undefeated, and the rest of the league absolutely furious with suspicion, who gets burned when the next batch of Roof's fried chicken comes out of the fryer? Because the season of the sim is far from over, and trust me, the drama's only going to get hotter.